Well, hospital porters' pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Pan Road TV, and welcome back to Sunderland Avenue. This is the road of the cat and the hornbeam trees, as Philip Pullman called it. Philip Pullman being a complete and total fucking toe rag, but he just writes some very good books. Pains me to say. Anyway, I'm off on another adventure now. I don't know when I'll be uploading this. You may be watching this quite a long time after I've actually filmed it. That's because what I'm doing now is a little bit sensitive. I'm not going to a conference or anything like that. I'm going to do some more field research. But it's at the moment, what I'm involved in is highly confidential at the time of recording. If you're watching this, then it means I have been able to publish, with the permission of the people involved, the evidence I've gathered so far. As you know from my video, the Berkshire Roswell, you know, it's good to get out and do some field research, which probably I don't do enough of. But what happened was, a couple of weeks ago, a lady, I won't give her name, a lady, I'll call her Lillian, she contacted me, and she'd been put in touch through a mutual friend, actually, somebody who lives in her area, and she said, oh, I saw a UFO a few months ago. And I said, great, got any photos, videos? She said, yeah, and she sent it to me. And if I can, if it's okay with her and it's appropriate, I will add the video and the films to this particular upload. So it all depends what goes into this production right now. I'm not certain of right now. I'm just going to film my little journey to the location. That's where she lives with her family. Now, I'm not going to say exactly where this is, but it is in England. It's near the border with Wales. And indeed, the photographs I thought were very impressive. Another video as well, and also I'm going to get the chance to interview some of the other witnesses, as well as this lady who I've spoken to. Now, she very, very generously agreed to I mean, I said I'll get a coach up and visit you, and I'll come pick you up. It's a short drive, it's like a little drive for me down the motorway, and I'll come pick you up. And I thought, oh, that's very nice of her. I've offered her, you know, to pay for petrol and things like that. So, but it's very good of her to come pick me up. At the time I'm recording, we're bracing ourselves for Storm Dara. So I've got a feeling my journey back, which is tomorrow evening, will not be as straightforward. And certainly I don't think she's going to be able to drive all that distance in the wind and rain. So yeah, it's actually not going to be very pleasant when we're there. I mean, I don't think there's going to be sky watching done. But so this could be the first I could come back again another time, maybe do some more investigation. These things do take time. You need a lot of patience. Right now, I'm just going to go up there and scope out the scene, look at where it all happened. Just check out where it all happened and get as much information as I can. So unfortunately, you know, we're in Britain. You've got to just put up with the weather when it happens. So I'm going to head for Pear Tree Services, which, if you remember, when I went away in the weekend north, my friends Suriana and Michael picked me up from there. She said, oh, just give me a postcode, I'll come and pick you up from home or work. And I said, it's a 2-hour drive from where you are, I said. If you go in and out of Oxford, that's an extra hour. So I have agreed to go and meet her at the Pear Tree Services, which is where I'm heading now. Yeah, I hope it won't be long before I can find out, publish what I found out. Obviously, I won't say a single thing without this person's permission. Their welfare is my top priority, which means, like I say, fake names until they say otherwise. They're not going to appear on camera until they agree to. They're not going to publish anything until they agree to. So, yeah, it's good to be doing a bit of field research. So that's where I'm heading now. Okay, we're approaching the Pear Tree welcome break. This is a service station here, just north of Oxford. You may have seen it before. It's I came here to meet my friends when we went to weekend off. I'm going back there, by the way, so there'll be another reportage from me. Looks like most of the roadworks are gone now, but they're still building something over there. God knows what it is. Looks like the Overlook Hotel Part 2. Anyway, this is the services here. No crazy Swedish twins, as far as I know. Just some place to eat, place to go to the toilet, have a drink, things like that. There's a couple of hotels. Oh, Ian R. Crane, the late great Ian R. Crane. I think I mentioned this last time. He did a speech in the hotel, this hotel just up there, the Holiday Inn. He did a talk on his anti-fracking tour, I remember. Yeah, those were the days. Happy days. So anyway, I'm all right. Just got to wait for my host to turn up, my contacts, and they're going to drive me to where they live. I've got Ashton Forbes playing in my ear, so that's cool. I can just relax, take my time. Still at least half an hour to go. There you are. Just a few seconds. There we go. Oh, it's blowing a bit of a breeze out there. Yep, Storm Dara is in full force. It's now just after 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. I'm here at this my host's home, and they've been very, very good indeed. This is a very comfortable building. It's a wooden construction, but very, very well sort of put together. Very, very, very sort of nice and clean, and I've got this lovely room to sleep in, and they provided everything for me. They've been really good. I didn't film last night because this was a social evening, a social event. These are people I've never met before, and this is just getting to know them really, and them getting to know me and learning to trust me. As a result, I didn't do any filming. I just sat and I talked to them for the whole evening. We watched a bit of Alien Investigation by George Knapp's new documentary and things like that. We met the neighbour, things like that. So it was just kind of like a ice-breaking session really, which is very important when you're doing this sort of thing, and you're dealing with people you've never met before. I've only ever known these people online, but they did show me some photographs and a little bit of video that they took, and I've copied them to my laptop, and I will go through those with you later. They are remarkable. This involves incidents not just on one occasion. There were actually 3 occasions when strange things happened. 2 visual, and there was 1 oral, oral meaning like there was 1 oral meaning a sound, a strange sound. So yeah, that was that was very, very odd things going on around here. I am going to be able to get some interviews with these people later. They were actually said, "Oh yeah, sure." I said, because they said, I'm planning on making a YouTube video about this. They said, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll talk about everything I saw, and I'll do it on on camera." We'll see how they feel today. They may not want to, but that's what they said last night when we sort of relaxed and had a few drinks. Either way, I'll show you the photographs. They've given me permission to show you the photographs they took, which are remarkable. It's in fact, you don't often get the kind of these kinds of quality photographs from people operating spontaneously using normal equipment. As I said, they didn't. People who go sky watching and they have with them like specialised equipment, because taking photographs of the sky, especially at night, is actually very, very difficult unless you have specialised photographic equipment, the sort of thing Win Keats uses. Most UFO encounters are actually happen unexpectedly by people who may only have their standard mobile phone camera, and they're usually not in a fit state to take quality photographs, so very often they're excited or afraid and their hands are shaking, things like that, so you don't get a very, very good exposure. These are different. These are actually, considering the circumstances under which this evidence was gathered, it's really, really, what they did a really good job. And I'll be going through those images with you later. There were 2 sets of images actually. There was one that was taken in August, and there was another one that was taken a few weeks earlier. So we'll go through those with you. This location is actually, I said it was in England near the Welsh border. We're in Wales here. We're only just outside the city of Chester, and it's in a rural area, even though we're just outside a large city, and there's literally a massive retail park. This area has a distinctly rural feel. I mean, in one direction is the city, in the other there is just open countryside on the Welsh side of this area. So there's a farm nearby. I'm hoping maybe to be able to have word with the farmer, because I'll be curious to see if he's seen it or heard anything strange around here. But in the meantime, we're also hopefully going to take a look at the local military base, which is a former Royal Air Force base, which has been it's no longer RAF. I think it's just MOD facility, but it's surprisingly active apparently, considering it's mothballed state. So that sounds interesting indeed. And at the moment, like I said, this is in Storm Dara, and we're also in the middle of what seems to be a UFO flap in this country, in the UK, specifically in Eastern England. You've heard a lot of talk about drones. I want to do the Dr. Evil meme again. Drones. Because, I mean, when you look at the actual descriptions of the encounters and what these objects are like, it's pretty clear that drones is simply a new euphemism because balloons has jumped the shark. You can't say balloons anymore. It's pretty clear they are talking about UAP. I mean, Ross Coulthart has done a couple of good videos about that. So, and indeed I have too. If you look at the last couple of videos I did, I have covered this in detail. So check those out if you haven't seen them already. So, I mean, whether there's a connection here or not, I don't know, because this all happened months ago. These people essentially have sat on the evidence they gathered back in, July, August time, and they haven't said a word. And that's maybe not a bad idea. If they published it straight away, or they'd gone to the papers, you'd end up with probably some sensationalist headlines and a lot of abuse online from people saying, "Oh, fake! It's fake! You hoaxed that," and things like that. So, what they did was they reached out to me through a mutual friend. I am somebody who maybe can help them with this, because in all modesty, I'm a respected member of this research community, and if this information is published through me, it'll have more credibility, I believe. So we're going to do as much investigation as we can. It's not going to be easy though, because of the wind, as you see. It's blowing a breeze around here. It's blowing pretty heavily. It's quite drafty, this building, actually, but I've got a lovely bed with a lovely quilt, so it's kept me warm tonight. It really has. It's a really nice place, and these people have been absolutely fantastic. We had a lovely meal, and I wish I was staying for longer, because they've got the bath ready for me and everything, but you have to leave this evening. But so it's only one night I've been here. But let's go and see what we can find out. Okay, now I'm going to insert a little studio section here, which is an analysis of the photographs that we're talking about in this situation. Now, as I said, to begin with, when you do these kinds of investigations, and I've been on a few, I've learned from the best, you might say. Always take it one stage at a time. Don't run ahead. Don't get ahead of yourself. So the first part of this investigation was I was simply put in contact with the witnesses by a mutual friend, like I've explained. I then made contact with them personally, spoke to them on the phone a few times, had a conversation about the basics of the case, and during that conversation I made the decision that with their permission I would go and visit them and do a field investigation. And they were very happy about that. They encouraged me a lot to do that. And as I said, they've been very hospitable. The next stage is to go and make contact with them, personally meet them, which I did. They actually came all the way to Oxford to pick me up, which is really, really nice of them. We had a nice conversation on the way back, and that's important. Like I said, it's ice-breaking. It's getting to know each other. It's just learning about what kind of people they are. And they have to learn about what kind of person I am. They have to assess me as well as me assessing them. I have to assess them for their honesty, things like that. And I've got to watch out for things like mental illness. I mean, if there's situations where I wouldn't get someone involved in an investigation, I have to assess what they want out of this whole situation and what their objectives are, and things like that. And again, trust your instincts. These instincts exist for a reason. So basically, the first 12 hours I was with them, I did nothing at all except talk to them, and see how well we got on. As it happens, we got on very well. We really did. I actually think they're quite nice people, and I think they are honest, and they only want to do good from this situation. I do think that, having spent some time with them. Of course, I've only spent 2 days with them, but that's definitely the impression I got. Only after that is you get on to the evidence. Now, one thing that's very important, and I stressed this when I was on the phone with the witness, always keep the original files. I just actually did briefly contact another person with the witness's permission, and I sent them one of the photos. And he replied and he said, "Has she got the original files?" Yeah, yeah. I said, "Yeah, yeah, she has." Because in this day and age where anything can be faked, photographic evidence just doesn't carry the same weight it used to. It's always important to keep the original files to get over this. It helps get over this signal to noise ratio problem you have. If you keep the original files, your image will stand out above the rest. Because let's face it, there's a whole load of completely bogus visual evidence out there, and it's got no attribution at all. You don't know where it came from. It just appears on YouTube or Instagram or somewhere. You don't know if it's fake or real. You know that possibly a small proportion of it is genuine. You don't know which proportion. There's no way of knowing. There's no way of telling with modern photographic manipulation techniques. So always keep the original files, and then look for when you got to win the trust of these people. Be professional, and I was. And as I said, I think I gained their trust, and they started telling me more, and they will tell you more. They told me that this isn't the first time something strange has happened to these people. Now, there's other things as well which I will touch on briefly. The first is another incident in which, in the middle of September, when they describe it as a screaming sound from the woods near their home. Now, these people live in the countryside. As I said, it's not far from Chester. It's in northeast Wales, but it is countryside, and they're used to the sounds of the countryside. Animals fighting, prey and predator, things like that. They're used to those sounds. They said this was different. They can't give me much information because no one recorded it, but it was just something that stuck out in their mind, and it did give them a bit of a fright. They also showed me some more photographs when I arrived, which I'm going to show you in this particular incident, which refers to another event that happened 2 weeks earlier, before August the 21st, when this happened. The first photos I'm going to show you. They also said something else strange. There was a power cut at one point this year. Now, power cuts, unfortunately, in Wales are not uncommon. In fact, my friends in Wales right now have been texting me saying that all over South Wales, everyone is without electricity following Storm Dara. And the power companies say, we'll get it done by noon. Then they said 6 p.m. So at the moment, a lot of South Wales is without power. So power cuts are not uncommon in Wales. When I lived there, I remember in rural Wales particularly, that we had power cuts all the time. Now, this particular area suffered a power cut. This was not due to the storm, it was before then. But one house was not affected. Now, in this area where there's lots of wooden buildings and things like that, mobile homes, etc., one house was not affected, and it was the house my hosts lived in, or live in. And no one knows why that is. It's strange. I think there were actually two more in another part of the estate, but basically it's weird because the whole estate ought to be on the same grid. So I don't know if that's significant. It's just something they mentioned to me, which I thought was important. Now it's time to go through these photographs with you. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that I'm going to show you a lot of very interesting things here. And believe it or not, I'm going to make a comparison to another event I've investigated, and that is, of course, because I haven't done much field investigation, that will be Nick Hayes. I'll put a link in the description box to my film The Invisibles, which also helped actually inspire this film, The Visibles, because these things can be seen with the naked eye. Now, this photograph was taken in the evening of August the 20th this year, on the decking on the veranda of their home. Lisa just said she wanted to take a photo of the full moon. She went outside. This is outside, I believe, because there's no glass reflection here. The witnesses both said they were outside. The witness. One of the witnesses was second-hand, but I only spoke to one of the first-hand witnesses. But she thought the sky looked so beautiful. It was evening. You can see a couple of stars at the top there. She thought she would go outside and take a photo of the moon through the clouds. Another reason this is outside, the frame, you can actually see here at the bottom right, you can see the post of one of the, as you see, it's similar to the opposite. You see this opposite house here with a little wooden post sticking up. It's a post for the fencing around the decking. All right, so that's how you can see that. And also, there is some video, and you'll hear a bit of sound, which also confirms to me that they are outdoors. So I've got witness testimony plus physical evidence that indicates this was taken outdoors. And this rules out reflection. These objects of interest are reflections because I don't think they are, not just because of the reasons I've just stated, because in a moment they do move, which reflections don't do unless you move the angle of the camera. In this case, the camera was static. Okay, so we have 4 objects of interest here. There's an object on the top left here, and I will show you some enlargements of the really interesting bits soon. All right, because Lisa did make some enlargements for me, and I'll show you those. At the top left, there is an object up here. It's possibly an aircraft, although it seems to be illuminated. I will enlarge that because, whoops, because she didn't make an enlargement of that. But there was an object up here. I'll pull out a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. I don't know what that is there. I thought it might be an aircraft. It's illuminated though. There doesn't seem to be. I did ask, was there like a green light on this wing? Because that's obviously the right-hand wing, and there's a tail. And she said no, and there'd be another bright light, white or yellow light at the back. Now, it is the shape of an aeroplane seen side on, but that doesn't mean that that's what it is. And then you have these things here, these 2 objects here, which appear to be fuzzy blobs of some kind. A bit tricky to know exactly what that is. And then there's this object here. I will show an enlargement of that later, but that is an object of enormous interest. What's interesting here is you get, like, for example, you get lens flare here around this street lamp, which is quite common. And there's the haziness around these objects might be lens flare. And you get this here, which doesn't appear to be lens flare. It's not centered on the object. It appears to be an arc. This haze or corona, as it's one of the witnesses called it. One of the witnesses' friends called it a corona around the object. I don't know what the correct term is this, because you don't know what it is. Is it a cloud of vapor? Is it a visual effect? Is it an energetic effect? Is it actually luminous itself as a result of some property of the object? We don't know. But you have this haze around it, which is kind of elliptical or Vesica Pisces. I don't believe it's lens flare, otherwise, like this light here, it will be circular, it will be centered on the object, so it's not lens flare in my view. But she noticed these as she was taking the photos, and then next photo along. This is interesting because you see the lighting effect has changed slightly, and that is probably because the camera was it was, as I said, it was a simple mobile phone camera. It just kind of like turned into it changed its settings, its focus, its exposure automatically, so you get like a slightly darker field here. And you see the same objects here, these 2 objects here, which are pretty much the same as the last photo. This here at the top right may be the aeroplane-like object, and it's a different shape now, which indicates that might not be what it is. It may not. More reason it's probably not an aeroplane. You have that there. There's this structure around at the bottom, which could be some kind of. I mean, that's a bit indistinct. It could be part of the grain of the photo. I'm not sure. But you see here, there's another object that's emerged here. They describe this as looking like the Death Star. This here. I think there's a better photo of it later on. Now, this object here with the corona on this is the most interesting part. This is the most interesting object here. It has changed. It appears to be a completely different shape. Firstly, it has this oblong aperture in the middle, which is kind of similar. You may have noticed in the last photo, this object had one on the right. It had some illuminated spot on the right-hand side. So it may possibly have simply rotated slightly, showing maybe a brighter section of it, which was hidden in the first photo. But you see, it's quite clearly square in shape, and it appears to have 2 nodules here. Now there's an enlargement we'll show you in a minute, where they even take on a kind of shape. Also, there appears to be even despite the photo grain, there appears to be a dome-shaped structure underneath. It appears to be semicircular or dome-shaped, and I think that shape, it could be explained as grain in the photo, but I don't think so. There's 2 layers, 2 sort of layers to it here, almost like a rainbow inverted, and there's a kind of like Lisa said there was like a spiking structure sticking out. I can't see that quite so distinctly, but maybe there'll be another photo of it soon. But there you go. That is the second photo of that particular object, which I find very interesting indeed. On to the next photo. Right, here now we see, this is, as you see, the framing has moved upwards slightly, so the elevation is slightly higher, and I suspect it has zoomed, yeah, it's zoomed in slightly. Now, Lisa might have done that manually. She's the sole photographer for this. I don't know if she did that manually, or maybe there's an automatic function for that. Probably she did it manually. In most phones, it is a manual thing you have to do, but she did zoom in slightly. She said this entire encounter just took 10 seconds. So we have the two blobs here, which may slightly have altered shape. Now, I told you there was a better photo of the Death Star object. It's here. And you see there's a distinct structure here. Although, again, it's not possible to confirm this with the kind of photograph and the kind of equipment that was used. As I said, people don't walk around with a Winkeech Special. It would be a bit tricky, actually, because it's usually like a 2-foot telephoto lens, but they don't. They just have their normal cameras. You can't expect too much of people when they're caught off guard. All they have is their portable camera on their phone, which is not specialised for taking shots of UFOs at night. But you see here, certainly there's a circular feature here, and there's also another darker shape underneath, which that is more than just photo grain or photo or visual effect. I think it could be, if there was a medium behind it, like a cloud, I'd say that was a shadow. Or if it was just above ground, that would be a shadow. Like the blue object at Manchester Airport, it appears to be a reflection or shadow underneath. This is hanging in mid-air. You don't know, so it's hard to say. By the way, these objects, looking at them like this, it's very, very difficult actually to judge the range of objects when you're just seeing a photo like this. If there's not a second camera somewhere so you can create like a stereo pair. So I didn't know how far away these were. As far as I was concerned, they could be literally miles. They could be miles away up in the sky. And indeed, even if you're looking at things without a camera, it's not always possible to tell. I've looked up on a clear day with no clouds or anything. There's no static gauge to judge its range and therefore its size. I've seen a plane flying over, and it looks like something I could reach up and pluck out of the sky. But it's literally thousands of feet above me. And this is similar, but later on I'm going to show you something which does actually indicate. I think it probably does. It may be some kind of camera effect. I don't know, but I think it's more likely we do see a real indication of the size of these, because you will see one of these objects pass in front of a static gauge. And now let's have a look at this here. You get a much better, clearer picture. Indeed, I'll show you an enlargement later. There's an enlargement to this later. There it is. There's another enlargement. But here you see there's a slightly different shape here. That's probably due to the camera processing. But again, there is no doubt there is two lobes. There are two lobes to this. It's almost like there's one bright lit segment here, one bright lit segment there. It has two. It's like headlights on a car. Mick West has, I think, falsely debunked some of the orb photos that have been happening in the recent years by saying, "Oh, look, it's got two little bits on it. It's a car headlight." Another structure underneath, which goes beyond, I think, just camera artifacts. Although it's not semicircular. It could be the semicircular effect might not be its real shape, but you see there's definitely some structure underneath, definitely. So that's the next photo. Now we have this one here. Now we have here a very, very close. You can see the roof of the building opposite. This is a close zooming in of this object. And Lisa did very well to get this number of shots, actually. She must have taken multiple shots. This is one of the blobs. Again, that's not terribly interesting. Again, that's not terribly interesting compared to the other photos. Again, we have a change of, I would say, exposure or aperture on the camera. So it's in a more dark field. This happened automatically. Cameras do this automatically. Not always when you want them to, unfortunately. And here we have, this is, I think this is probably the best photo, actually. We have this object up in the top left. So I'll show you, if I can find it. I might have to zoom out a bit to find it. Come on, that's it. There we are. Which I think may be the airplane object, again, changing shape or aspect, or profile or aspect. It may have changed again, but it appears to be now circular or luminosity. I can't see any real structure there. These are the two blobs here. You can just see them, actually. Lisa said, she could only really see them when she looked at them in peripheral vision, but they're just visible. It's almost like they're faded away. Now here is the Death Star object. Now what's odd here is that the lit area has moved away from the dark area underneath. It's almost like they're actually two objects rather than just one. I thought they were like two connected, or like I said, possibly a shadow on something else. But you have here, it's shifted. Now, could this be... I mean, someone who knows more about photography could tell me this. Win, if you're listening, if you're watching, I might even contact you about this. Is this simply something to do with the way the camera works? That the camera moves slightly and the lighter object appears to shift, and the darker areas stay in one place. I'm not sure that's actually two objects. Now, this is look, this is very interesting. And in fact, I'll show you another enlargement of this later, which Lisa has made herself. This is now, you can see the double-lobed kind of luminosity at the top. And now Lisa interprets this as two humanoid figures. I'm not so sure about that, but they do have that kind of shape. You can imagine two people sitting there, like that thing was taken in Turkey. Do you remember the CCTV footage in Turkey with the two grey aliens sitting in it? Again, I'm not sure that's what it is, but that's what it looks like. You can certainly see two structures distinctly independent. Now, in all these different photos, you see the two structures, which indicates that is a real property of the what we're seeing, the entity we're seeing. And again, the semicircular bowl-shaped or hemisphere underneath is now returned. It's more visible. In fact, it's even bigger. I don't know if it's my imagination, but it seems to extend slightly beyond the illuminated bit on the top. And again, the spiky section on the bottom right is there. Funnily enough, there's something similar on the Calvine photo, a little spiky section left out. So that's probably the best photo that's the best photo of all, I'd say. Right, this here is this dark image here is, I'm not sure exactly what this is actually. It could be I think this might be the airplane image at the top left again. This basically a luminosity or circular thing here. I don't know if this is actually real or whether it's an artifact, but there appears to be like a small satellite object beside it. I don't know if that's real or not. Now, this is another good image here. You have the two fuzzy bits at the top. Again, we're back. They're zoomed out again. Some features are still there. You can see like the aura or corona as it's called is still there. This is the Death Star. Now this is really weird because the illuminated part seems to have grown into two halves, and the darker segment is on top. So it's almost like they're wheeling round each other. And now we go to the object on the right, the right-hand object, and you see the same thing. Now again, I wonder if this is something to do with the camera. Indeed, I'll show you some video which may possibly be explained as some camera artifact, but again, we have a shape, but it's a very distinct actually shape here. It is almost tic-tac or lozenge shaped. There's a darker border around at least the top half of this, or it almost seems to be split into two halves with a bit in the middle, almost like a classic saucer or cigar-shaped object. It has this little area around it. Now the darker segment now has gone above it, and it's loose. It's now amorphous. It doesn't have the same shape that it had in previous photographs. So I don't know again if that's a camera property or not. But anyway, the corona is still there. It's still there. Right, now here's the first enlargement of the coronid object, the bottom right object, as you can see here. This is, again, you see this lit area on the right hand side, and this strange, it's almost like a Slave One, Boba Fett's craft from Star Wars. Star Wars or Star Trek, both. But you see like there's a structure on top here, and there's an undercarriage which you see in that Star Wars event, in this Star Wars craft. I'm not saying that's what it is. Boba Fett is not real, guys. But then there's the lit area on the right. Again, for some reason this changes shape, or possibly it changes aspect profile, so we see the lit area more on another side. And this is the second enlargement of the object afterwards, when you see the two. This is what Lisa said were like maybe human figures in there. You can tell me whether you think they're human figures. They could be, but there's this kind of like, it looks like frosted glass effect here. Now the frosted, if that is indeed some kind of glass window or something, the frosted grainy look could be something to do with the camera, or it might be it might be a property of the object. Again, it's too far away to tell. It's frustrating actually that we don't have better images here. But then what how much can you ask of people? No, you can't expect people to lug a Winkeet special around with you everywhere. All right, now we come on to the second incident. Now, this is very interesting because this happened 2 weeks earlier. So that'll be late July, early August. This is taken from the same location but from a different area. Now, this is looking north. The previous one was looking west. This is all looking north. You may be able to tell by the phase of the moon. We're in a different time zone. This is a gibbous moon here. This was not my witness taking a picture out of the moon. In this case, my witness, Lisa, was awakened at night to what she described as bright light coming in through the window. This was not moonlight, this was something else. She opened the curtains of her bedroom and took a series of photographs. This is the first one. You see the moon, you see it illuminating a chemtrail here. The object in question is this one here at the bottom right, just to the bottom right of the moon. Now, it's clearly not illuminated now. I don't know, you can see some kind of structure here. Although this picture is really, really very poor quality, and it's not, again, it's not the witness's fault. She was kind of taking this. Did take this through a glass. You can see here, it's very grainy. These shapes are trees. So there's a kind of square or lozenge shape to this on this side, which may be an artifact. I mean, you can see other shapes in these other pieces of grain. I mean, imagination with pareidolia can fill in the gaps. So I'm not sure that's actually part of the object. It might be. What is distinct, though, and can't be explained as camera grain, is this area here, which is lit. It's not lit very brightly. Certainly, it may have been lit brightly before, which is what she saw, but it's not lit brightly now. But there's something there, definitely. There is something in that image. Second image, almost exactly the same as the first. Only this time, there's possibly more of a structure on the right hand side of the object. Now you could see actually a difference in coloration from the background, especially this zone here. There's a dark patch here and a lighter patch here, which to me makes me think that this is not just camera, this is not just a product of the image processing. And there's even a lighter area here, which when you put it in context with the rest of this structure probably means that it is not a camera processing artifact. The lit area is still there. You can see that. You can see that the resolution here is not as good as previously. She may have been using a different piece of equipment. Certainly the lighting effect means that the resolution, as you can see it's pixelated enormously. It's quite low resolution graphics here. And there's finally, this is a shot of the moon. Obviously the framing is off here, but that's the shot of the moon. But you can see by the background and the phase of the moon that this was taken at the same time. And there's another one. And finally, this is one more shot, I think, of this particular. I'm showing these in the order that she sent me them. Now, again, you can see there's much more structure now in this one. You can see slightly. I think this is not. No, this is not a copy. I don't think it's a copy of the original. Let me just double check. Yeah, I don't think it's a copy of the original. Now this is the last one. Now this is odd because you see a smearing of the moon. The moon. Now this is what you would expect if you move the camera very suddenly and while the photograph was being taken. So if it's in exposure, say, of a fraction of a second, and you move the camera, the lit object in the middle, being the moon, will move while the photo is being taken, which means on the film, or if it's a digital camera on the file, you will get this smearing effect. However, you don't see that from the background. The background doesn't appear to be smeared. Now this is interesting because this, I think, might be relevant to interpreting the other objects. Interpreting some of the video footage I've taken. And again, I'm not an expert on this, but it could be a property of the equipment my witness is using. Right, and finally, this is a photograph taken from my witness's car of what I showed you earlier. Now you can see it's cold here, it's been snowing. But this is the fence which was damaged. This was taken a couple of weeks, I think, before the. If she said before my visit. Oh, obviously this was not taken in August because it is cold. It's cold here. It has been snowing. So those are the. Now those, as I've just shown you, those are the stills. But now we've got to look at the videos. Now in this video I'm about to show you, it's only a very brief video, just barely a second, but it's very revealing. Now I've got a feeling, I'm not sure exactly how proficient my witness, that is Lisa, is at operating her mobile phone camera, because the very short clip here indicates that it may have been recorded accidentally while she was trying to take a still. I don't know. I didn't get the chance to talk to her about that, but it's a good job she did. It is a very good job she did, because she has gathered some essential evidence here, and these little short clips are an important part of that. And she's kept the original files. The reason everyone, if you ever get a photograph something unusual, it doesn't have to be UFO. It could be a ghost in a haunted house. It could be Loch Ness monster. It could be Bigfoot in the middle of a woods. For goodness sake, keep the original file. The reason is because it'll make it more authentic and easier to verify. Now, it is possible to create an image or a piece of footage and then make it look like it was filmed on a mobile phone camera or any other kind of camera, but it's very difficult to do. You need much more skills to do it. You'd have to be actually a very proficient hoaxer to do that. For most people, for your average person, including me and probably most people watching this, if you take a photograph, keep it on don't delete it from the device you filmed it on, and keep the original file. That will make you look far more credible to an investigator if you can do that. If you delete it, then unfortunately it's the little boy who cried wolf. You present an image which is based on, it's a copy of the original on another device, created independently, and could be anybody's. Could have been done using Photoshop or AI. So Lisa has kept the original files, which is very important. Okay, so I'm going to play you now the first video. Right, did you see that? Let me pause it. Now, what's interesting about this, firstly, it's got a soundtrack. The soundtrack is definitely filmed outside. You can tell by the acoustics. There's a bit of background noise, possibly light breeze on the microphone, but a bit of rustling trees. Even though the wind is very low, you can see that they're moving slightly. You can see the trees and the leaves moving slightly. So there's a low wind, and you can hear it. And you can also hear by the voices as well. There's a male voice, which is a man called Jordan, who is a friend of the family. Unfortunately, I've not been able to contact him. You see the same objects you do in the stills with the same properties, but then you notice them moving around. Now, it's important when you watch them moving around, two things. The background, now you may notice the camera is panning slowly to the right. See? It's panning slowly to the right. But look how the objects move. They move independently of both the camera movement and the background. So they can't be reflections. They're clearly not reflections from objects inside. They also cannot be something stuck to the window. Like if firstly, it's not indoors for the other reasons I've stated, but also if this was indoors, say with the window open, and it was shot through a pane of glass, you would not see them moving like this. See? Now, you can just hear Lisa's voice in the background as well, or maybe that's Piper. I don't know. Now, the objects move, and what's more, they move in complete, accurate formation, precise formation. Look. They don't. Well, possibly the blobs in the middle shift slightly differently, but the four main objects, and there seems to be another one now. See, there's another one at the top, right? There's another blob at the top. So there's now four main objects. There's some blobs in the middle. There's the Death Star, and there's the main right-hand objects. They move together in perfect synchronicity. It's not synchronicity, whatever it was. Synchronized. They're perfectly synchronized. Now the middle objects move slightly differently, but it appears they're attempting. They are attempting to follow. Now this is a very interesting point to pause it on, because you see at least one of the objects appear to come between the tree and the camera, which gives now a maximum range for the object. At least I think it does. Although I'm not 100% sure there, because you see it could be smearing effect. Now just watch the object on the right-hand object here. You see it goes in front of the tree. Now there's two possibilities here. The possibilities are that we're looking at something very small. And indeed, you'll see later in this video, I actually go up to that tree to try and judge exactly how big I think this object is. So the soundtrack's slightly out of sync. Is that out of sync with it? There we go. I can't pause it. I can't pause it exactly at the right point. But you've seen it now, and you've seen it go in front of the tree. Once more. And the other objects move in perfect synchronicity with it. So all these objects move together with the two blobs in the middle, almost making it, not quite. Now, it's almost like birds. Now, it's not. It's more than birds, because you've seen murmurations, which is huge flocks of birds that appear to move as a solid object, like a wave. I'm sure you've seen these. It's a very famous feature of the birds. Now people have slowed down murmurations. There was a theory for a while that the birds had some kind of hive mind and were telepathic. This has been dismissed, because if you slow the murmurations, these huge flocks of birds, they can sometimes be millions of birds together in a single flock. When you slow them down, you can see that one bird is following the other. They've got very, very quick reactions, but they are actually following the other. They are actually following each other. These appear to have there's no perceivable time apart from the two blobs in the middle. There's no perceivable time between when one moves and the other. So they do appear to be moving together. Now, looking at this still, you could easily think they could be like thousands of feet away, or they could be very large objects in the distance, maybe as far away as the clouds. If they went behind the clouds, that would give them a minimum range. It's a bit like the object I saw in 2008. I went behind a cloud, which indicated it was a very large object, very, very distant. However, for all you know, these could be very, very small objects, much closer. And it turns out that possibly the one on the right is. Now, I did think certainly originally. Now I'm not so sure, and I'm wondering if there's some kind of smearing effect here with the camera, which causes it to appear to move in front of the trees. I don't know. Could that be some kind of like what's the word? Remnant, some kind of remnant glowing feature on the phosphor when you're photographing it? I don't know. Someone who knows more about cameras can probably tell me that. Okay, let's go to the second video. Right, now this is interesting. Again, it's very small. So it's very short. It's a very short clip here. Shot on a brand new. It's shot on a brand new device here. There's no bugs in it or anything like that, probably because it's brand new. It hasn't been used very much. But you see the Death Star object here, and it appears to move in front of the clouds. Well, it almost, you can't. It sort of cuts off just as it's crossing in front of the clouds. And you can hear voices in the background, and it sounds like they're outdoors. The acoustics indicate they're outdoors. So now we'll go to the third image here. A third video, sorry. Right, this is interesting here. And again, you see the objects moving together in perfect synchronicity. Now, the what's the word? The photo has altered. The phone has altered the properties, or they've altered the effects of the phone. You do see here a bit of lens flare from the camera. In fact, it's slightly visible in the previous video. A bit of lens flare from street lamp here. It's slightly visible in the other photo. Here it's less distinct, because it's not zoomed in. The video is certainly zoomed out. But these objects, the blobs are not visible, but the three remaining objects are again moving in completely synchronized. It is actually 4. You can see the other one just at the beginning there. But again, notice how the camera is hardly shifting. It's hardly moving at all. It pans slightly downwards at the end. Now, if this object, if these objects, at least this one here, the one on the right, if the right-hand object is small, as you see the corona around it there, if it really does go in front of that tree, then it's a very small object. I estimate you'll find out later exactly. I do an estimate of its size. This, to me, reminds me very much of Nick Hayes. Now, if you've read his book, Quest for the Invisibles, or you could watch the video I made about Nick called The Invisibles, which gave me the inspiration for the title of this video, you'll see that he himself has captured something similar. This is very, very small objects, usually just less than a foot across, 2 feet across sometimes. Sometimes they're like mechanical, sometimes they look more like some kind of life form. As Trevor John Constable, or was it Trevor John? Yeah, Trevor John Constable, the previous researcher who inspired Nick, did. Oh, sorry, what's his name? Nick knows. These again, they're small and they appear and they can be spotted in front of trees and things like that. So you know they are not large objects from a long way off. Now, what's strange though is, or what's interesting, is that in this case we are certainly looking at something that can be perceived by visible light. Lisa herself saw it with her naked eye, as did the other witness, Jordan, and it's pictured on a normal visual light camera. This makes it very, very different from Nick. Nick has to use a special camera that can see outside the wavelength of visible light in order to detect his objects, the things he sees. Another thing that Nick's images are not generated. Nick's images are not captured spontaneously. I know the first one was, but the others are not. He actually generates them using his Cloudbuster. And again, check the link in the description box for details about that. So here we go. That's the third image, and that is the series of images. Yes. Now, this is the view in daylight of where those photos were taken. We'll get a closer look at this area later, but you can see there's the tree, which gives a bit of scale on one of the objects, at least one of the objects. And obviously the weather was very different in those days, and they were outside this window here, you see, on this decking. You can tell from the perspective and from the parapet there and the post, you can tell actually they were outside. And then they saw these strange things in the sky just over there. So, well, the weather's not brilliant, but I'm going to do as good a job as I can to research this. Hopefully get some testimony from the witnesses later. So we're going to do a little bit of exploring, find out a little bit more about what's happening here. Right guys, we're now heading for MOD Sealand, which is a military base that I told you about earlier. Used to be an RAF base, has been decommissioned from the Royal Air Force, but it's still surprisingly active. And we're going to go there and try and find out why. But unlike Matthew Williams, hopefully we won't get arrested. Now, this lady I'm with, I call her Lillian, but you don't mind me using your real name, do you? Lisa. Lisa's her real name. She's come up with an interesting idea, which is that there's a connection between conifer trees and UFOs, and indeed Joshua Trees, which is a very, very good album by U2 before they went stupid. But it's also a succulent plant you find growing in the high desert of North America and other parts of the Americas. if this is statistically significant, you may find there are a lot of sightings around a particular area, and that will be very interesting from a ufological point of view. So that's something to investigate. The connection with deep water and the sea is very well known. In fact, I was watching the Alien Investigations with George Knapp last night on Netflix, and they say specifically that. And I'll tell you what, Lisa, you should watch episode 5 about the Phoenix Lights, because this guy who lives near there in Phoenix, he actually captures some objects that look like the ones that are in your photos.
Okay.
So definitely watch episode 5 of that series, I'm saying. Yeah, definitely watch that. Okay, guys, this is MODC land. What's it used for these days? Well, that berm there is used for defence, so that'll be like if someone's shooting, they wouldn't be able to shoot what's inside. And you see it's got like a barbed wire fence. So this used to be the RAF, but what's it used for now?
You have a look. You've got to go right to the front of it.
Yeah. But this is a lot of... obviously there is security here still going on, so it's used for something. Is that what's this area for? We'll have a look at it later. There you see is a plane. That's a fighter of some kind. DECA, Ministry of Defence. Is DECA a defence contractor? I can look that up. I'll look that up later. And we'll just go over this side here. Ministry of Defence, DECA. This could be a company that's working with it. Visitors parking. They've got a Christmas tree up. I'm going to pretend I'm just filming this plane, just so I don't get suspicious. This is a Typhoon. That's it, Defence Electronics and Components Agency. I'll tell you what, you can pause and read this in the best Panwo TV tradition, 1968. There we are. You can pause and read this, and I'll look it up online later. But there's this on this side as well. There's no entry there, but there we go. DECA, Defence Electronics Components Agency, and there's the history of the RAF Sealand. There we are. It's not to be confused with that platform. That old platform in the North Sea. It's an independent state. As you can see here, there are some flags, Welsh and British flag, and it says here, Croeso I Sealand, welcome to Sealand. Security heightened. Does that say security heightened? Yeah, alert, state, heightened. Heightened. Right, alert state heightened. Anyway, that is the entrance there. Try and find out exactly why that is and what's actually going on there. It could be just standard for MOD facilities, but we'll have to try and find out a little bit more. Alright guys, now we're going to talk about MODC land, get a bit more information about that. Now, I hope you don't think I'm being a little bit too unoriginal here, but I'm just going to go straight to Wikipedia. This page here which talks about the history and what this is used for now. MODC land used to be RAF Sealand. It used to be an RAF base. It's now been, decommissioned as RAF, but it's still Ministry of Defence. It's pretty old. Dates back to 1916. It was closed for a while. No, I'm not going to. I'll donate to you when you start being more honest. And there's a list of various services and various facilities that were there, the various squadrons, etc. And now it says MODC land is a global repair hub. Global. Not just British, global, for maintenance, repair, overhaul, upgrade services for the Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II aircraft, which is one of the latest fighter jets. Now, it talks about DECA and DE and S. I remember we saw those, didn't we? I'll tell you more about those in a minute. Facilities at MODC land include clean rooms, Faraday cages, radar chambers, calibration laboratory, cryptographic facility, storage and warehousing, 3D printing capability, aircraft components bay, and cryogenics bay. Oh yes, and also a place to store the aliens. Oh no, sorry. I was just reading too much into that now. Major customers include Ministry of Defence, BAE Systems, Northrop Grumman, General Dynamics, Thales, Rolls-Royce, Raytheon, and there's a couple of U.S. Department of Defense, Lockheed Martin. You'll recognise some of these. You will recognise some of these particular industries and organisations, won't you? Because they are very famous in the annals of the military-industrial complex. The MOD is set to establish an Advanced Technology Research Centre. The ATRC will conduct research into areas such as cyber security, software engineering, space, radio frequency, advanced sensing technology, next generation propulsion. And it just talks about there's a firing range there, which I thought I actually saw. It's something that might be a firing range. This is interesting. The RAF, this actually inspired a song by OMD, Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark. So anyone younger than me probably doesn't heard of these guys, but they're a very, very good band from my childhood. So that's interesting there. Now here we go. Defence Equipment and Support, a trading entity and joint defence organisation. That covers a multitude of sins within the UK Ministry of Defence. Right. So it doesn't really specify whether it's public or private there. DES initially had a civilian and military workforce, 29,000. That's a lot. In the UK and abroad. By 2022, the DEA workforce had been reduced to 11,500. And then it says history here. It says when it was formed. That's its headquarters there in Bristol. And it gives a list of what it does and who people it works for. So again, it's just some, various officials in it. There we go. Just it's basically statistics and stuff like that. Now DECA, DES and DECA, formerly a DE DECA, is again an operating centre within the defence and support establishments. This is kind of like an old word for the same thing, or a different word for the same thing. Anyway, that's a little bit of background to what we're looking at here, and it's interesting that it is still active, and many people have suggested there may be a connection between what we're talking about here, what the subject matter of this particular video, and this particular facility, this military facility. There's no evidence right now for that, but it's this connection between military bases and UFOs is well documented, and I do not rule it out.
There's a feature that Lisa made me aware of that I didn't know last time, and this reminds me a little bit of the Penturk incident. This apparently is some damage done to this hedgerow that wasn't there previously before the sightings on that night. So we don't know for certain whether there's a connection to the sightings in August, but we do know that this damage was done more or less that time. You see the fences sagged down, and see there's this pile of dead vegetation from the hedge. Now we don't know what the cause of this is. There could be many causes, of course, why this sort of damage would happen, but it just seems it happened at the same time, and there may be a connection. There's something. It had something to do with the presence of the objects which were over there in that direction had on this fence. All we know is this damage was done at the time. Now what we ideally need to do is, maybe if anyone you knows about biology, maybe have some forensic tests done on these plants, as Gary Jones has done in Penturk with the hedges near where Kaz Clark's house was, where you remember from the video I made and from the other videos made by other people, that those hedges died soon after the green or red barrel-shaped object appeared above them. So this is a rather waterlogged field here, but we're going to see. What we want to do is try and have a word with the farmer. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. As we've reached a farm, which is actually, it's the farm that owns the field with the fence that I just showed you in. I'm now going to go and see if I can talk to someone and ask if they saw anything strange which may help this investigation. Well, I just spoke to somebody. This is a lady. We literally, I don't think she's in a very talkative mood because it's very windy and wet here. But I just asked her, did you remember anything on the night of the 21st of August? I'm investigating some strange objects that were seen in the sky. She said no. I said, have you heard anything about it? No. Have you seen anything? No. So that was it. So not much luck there, but there you go. But it was worth a try, and Lisa's going to have another go. She's going to come back, and because she lives locally, and she can maybe speak to one of the others and see if she finds out anything. But yeah. Hopefully, I might. I don't think I'm going to do it today, but if I get to come back and do some more investigations, I'll hopefully speak to some more people around here to find out exactly what happened on that strange night, and the other incidents that I've reported as well, because there were 3 incidents altogether. Hey guys, this is the tree I was telling you about. Now, I don't think I can get too close to it because it's in someone's garden, basically. But I'll film it from here, and you can kind of see the object would have been probably about the size of that TV aerial, however big that is. I'm going to see if I can get a bit closer. Maybe I think there's a footpath here I might be able to use. This is the tree from this angle. That brown building over there is where the witnesses live. And so this will give you an impression of how large that object was. It was literally probably about the size of that TV aerial there, maybe 2.5 feet. So very similar to what Nick Hayes captured if you watch my Quest for the Invisibles video. Indeed, you know, you couldn't actually, it just goes to show when you're filming something in the sky and you don't know its range, you can't judge its size correctly. This is clearly something quite a small object, which some UFOs are like that. Some of them are very small like that, but I think Nick will be very interested actually to hear about this particular video. Hey Lisa, all right?
Not bad, how are you?
All right. I want to say thanks for inviting me here.
You're welcome, Ben.
And I just wanted to ask you about what happened on the 21st of August, because I've examined the photographs you sent me, and how did they get taken?
So I was stood at the window. I was folding some washing for my daughter, Piper, and I looked out the window, and the first thing that caught my eye was the moon, because it was beautiful that evening. And then I noticed what I thought at first was a laser show going on in the background. So I picked up my phone, which was on the dryer on charge, and went outside and just randomly took 5 pictures consecutively of them. Then I started to notice that one of them would move really quickly, but by the time I could go on to video, they'd all disappeared within the space of from seeing to disappearing 20-25 seconds.
20, that's about average for a sighting
Yeah.
like this. So you thought it might be like a laser display?
I did. I actually thought nothing more of it. It was a brand new phone. I put the phone back down. Like I said, my daughter was here. And it wasn't until a couple of weeks later when I picked the phone up, because I was still using the iPhone 7, I went on and remembered, oh, I've took these pictures, and I thought I'll have a look. So when I clicked on, I thought these are a bit strange. So I enlarged them like you do on your phone and thought, whoa, a bit weird. So I started to look into things. Then I thought, if there is something here, which I presume there is, I'll look in the area. So I started to do a little bit of digging, and there wasn't any laser shows on in the area on the 21st, so I could rule that out. I then went round to see if any of the shops had balloons or anything to do advertising, which were lit up at night. That was ruled out as well.
Used to be like these barrage balloons or something.
Yeah, you know, sometimes they put them up to advertise, and I just couldn't make head and tail of them. And somebody, my friend Andy, he put me in touch with you, and here we are now.
That's great. That's very interesting. The photos are intriguing. Obviously, there's more information needs to be gathered. But
Absolutely.
like, for example, have you heard anyone else seeing anything strange around here?
No, nobody at all.
Apart from Jordan, who was with you.
Jordan was with me. Jordan sadly isn't here this weekend. He's been called in work. But Jordan saw them as well. He didn't know what to make of them. Like I said, at first we just thought it was the laser, but when he came a few weeks after and I showed him the pictures, he was like, wow. So, you know, like I say, I've ruled everything else out, so I'm hoping now, Ben, you can find out exactly what it is I've seen.
Well, that's what I'm going to try to do, because it's very interesting. I mean, maybe they'll come back, and you never know. And indeed, a couple of weeks beforehand, you felt compelled to take some more photographs out your bedroom window.
The ones which I was lying in bed, and it's quite important to remember, I live on a lot. Well, I was at my lodge park, and it's pitch black because we're surrounded by trees. It's very rural. So if there's a light, you're going to see it more than you would if you was in, you know, like an housing estate area. So something bright was shining through the window, and I looked, and I noticed again a couple of unidentified things, but I wouldn't say that they were anything in comparison to the pictures which I took. And again, the ones which I took, which you're more interested in, were took on my decking. The other ones were took through a window. And when a picture's taken through a window, I'm not very credible of that.
It's not as good, no, it's not
No.
good.
So, you know, even though I've give you those, you know, I'm saying I'm not really overly enthusiastic on those.
Well, it's good you did try to find out what it might be. You made your own investigations. I know you're going to continue to assist me with this, which is
Oh,
really
absolutely.
good. I appreciate that. And did the objects on the 21st, did they make any noise at all?
You see, when something happens so spontaneous, you're not thinking, oh, is this a UAP? Is this, you know, something else? So you don't think about it at that time. So your senses aren't aware to any noise or anything else that is going on, especially when I thought it was just a laser show. So I wasn't particularly listening for anything.
Fair enough. And when you had this experience, when you were seeing these things, did you feel you were like in your normal state of mind? In other words, you didn't have any strange thoughts or feelings, or you know, maybe ambient noise was sort of dulled in your ears and things like that, because that's quite a common symptom.
Nope.
To happen. Right.
No.
All right. Well, thanks very much. Thanks for letting me know about all this. Much
You're welcome,
appreciated.
Ben. And let's see where it goes.
Yeah. This is an ongoing investigation, so hopefully there'll be some updates soon. Right, Lisa and I have just been to see this gentleman who's the concierge of this estate, and we asked to see if there's any CCTV footage independently of this particular area we're in for that particular date, the 21st of August, and he assures us there's not. He says there's limited CCTV coverage of this estate, and it's all around the entrance. It's all around the roads leading in and out. You should expect for security reasons. So there's no CCTV footage at all of this particular location. If there was independent footage or photographs of what Lisa and Jordan saw on that day, that would be an extraordinary development. But unfortunately not. Even in this Orwellian Big Brother world, there's still some places with no CCTV coverage. It's never there when you want it, is it? It's always there when you don't. Well, welcome to Chester Station. We've been here before, haven't we, guys? Yeah, it's on my way back from the Isle of Man. Because remember, I had to jump on here when I had a phone call for, needing urgent help. Weather's a bit colder and it's darker, and I've been looking at the departure board, all cancelled. I bought my ticket, £101. Three figures, man. It was almost 90 something when I last did this journey, and I'm still not sure which platform I'm going for. Everything is either delayed or cancelled. This is probably going to be similar. I'll just play it by ear, but my friends have said any trouble I can always give them a call, and I can even stay an extra night there. The problem being there that once I'm at Crewe, Wolverhampton, they can't come pick me up from there. So if the problems kick in there, I'm probably stuck until the problems are sorted out. So we'll just have to hope for the best, I think. There you are, ladies and gents. Cancelled, delayed, cancelled. Mine's Crewe there, 16:55. On time so far. Well, I don't know how that's going to continue. It's just got to show, railways, how the railways have degenerated. And it's one of the reasons I hate travelling by train. I really do. Even when things work, there's so many things go wrong. In what we experience at the moment with Storm Dara is not freak weather. It is severe weather, but it's not freak weather. It's something it's a regular part of life in Britain during the winter time at this time of year. Yet when it strikes, everything just falls apart like a pack of cards. The entire network breaks down. I made this point in my Storm Apocalypse live stream, if you remember that. I think it was earlier in the year. So it's distressing. They're expensive and they don't work. That's the problem with trains. Still on time.
This is platform 1. As you can see, there's another problem with this station. There's nowhere indoors on this station. Even the concourse is just open to the outside air. It's kind of like it's a part of the outdoors with something covering it, basically. There's nowhere warm indoors you can wait. There are no waiting rooms. So I'm just basically stuck outside. Look, it's not excessively cold this evening, but it's still chilly and it's breezy and it's very windy. So I can't really sit down. I mean, Lisa's made me like a snack. She's made me a little packed lunch, which is lovely. But I've got to I think I'm just going to have to walk up and down to keep myself warm. Well, I'm on the train and it's left, but it was about 5 minutes late and it's really slow. It's just crawling along. I've got a good book to read, luckily. It's part 2 of the Remembrance of Earth's Past, but when I get to Crewe, I've got to change, and I don't know how long that's going to be, which connection I'll get. After that, I've got another change at Wolverhampton, so fingers crossed I'll get there in the end. Well, we're finally leaving Crewe. The train's about 10 minutes late. I'm not going to risk the Wolverhampton. I'm not going to risk the Wolverhampton changeover because I've got a very bad feeling about it. I'm going to go through to Birmingham. I think that's my best chance. I'll let you know how I get on when I get there. But here we are right now, leaving Crewe at last. Right. Well, welcome to Birmingham New Street Station. As you know, I'm not a fan of this place, but I don't know how long I'm going to be staying here actually, because I've just looked out tonight. All trains now are cancelled. The online National Rail is not always accurate, but and there may be replacement bus services that they're in the process of organising. But I don't know how long I'm going to be. It's now only 5 to 8. I thought I'd left enough time, but maybe I haven't. So I don't know how long I'm going to be here, but I'll let you know. This is the Grand Central area here with a big Trojan bull there. I've got to go to the Blue Zone. I can't stand this damn station. Got to go to the Blue Zone platform. Anyway, they say platform 1 in the Blue Zone, so it's blue over there. So I assume I've got to go there. But they say there may be. Well, one guy said on the board there's no trains to Oxford listed, or any in that direction. But they say in the Blue Zone there might be one. So I'm going to see what I can do. I'm pretty fatalistic about this, you know. If I have to spend the night in this place, at least it's warm. I can find somewhere to sort of sit and doze. All right, Blue Zone, here we are. Oh, look, here's platform 1. It just says "Do not board." There's one. I think there's a terminating arrival here, and then Birmingham International, which is not much use to me. Anyway, they said platform 1 or 2. Maybe I'll try 2. There seems to be more people over there, so maybe I'll have more luck over there. I'm in the Blue Zone anyway, so I'm in the right zone. Here we go, up the stairs we go. Despite whatever happens, I'm glad I went. I mean, I had no other choice really. It's either that or reschedule it to the new year. So I think I would have gone anyway if I'd known this was going to happen. I knew that probably there'd be delays. I didn't think it would be this bad. I honestly didn't think that it would be quite as bad as this, but I knew the journey back wouldn't be easy. But anyway, these are all saying London. These ones are saying London Euston. Not much good to me, but I'll go down there anyway. Oh, this one's going to London Euston. I had a little bit of a wild idea that I could actually somehow get onto this train, get to London and get the Oxford Tube back, find my way to Victoria and get the Oxford Tube back. But 2 problems with that. I have the wrong ticket. Second problem, I don't even know if the Oxford Tube is running at the moment. So it's like that. There's that film Breakdown. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like a fictional scenario, docudrama where the entire transport network breaks down. Anyway, I'm going to go back up and see if I can get any better luck. I'll wait by the main notice board because that's when everything will be announced. This one, 2109 Southampton Central. It's a replacement bus. That might do the trick. 'Cause it's going in that direction. It's probably stopping at. The buses tend to stop at the stations, which means that's probably going to stop at Oxford. But I'll find out where I get the replacement buses now. Thank God. Thank God. And Wetherspoons. Okay, I mean, actually, I might go back there, but I've got a little lead. I think there might be a lifeboat off the Titanic here in the form of a replacement bus service, but I'm just going to go this way and try and find out. There's not many people walking this way, which is not encouraging, but I will try. Well, this is where the person told me to go. He said some of his colleagues would be here. There's no one here. It's just a taxi pick-up and point, so I don't know where I'm supposed to go from here. Just have to look around. But this is Birmingham anyway. It's the road. What's it called? The Rotunda, wherever it's called. The Bull Ring. Grand Central. These people all look like they're waiting. They look like travellers and they're waiting for a bus. But I followed the man's instructions, but there's no one here. So I'll hang around here for a bit. Well, the bus, it doesn't actually leave until about 10 o'clock or about an hour's time, so I might have time to nip into Spoons. I think those people are just waiting for taxis, so I'm now just going to go back inside and wait for the next lead. This actually, according to the online National Rail inquiries, I was meant to change at Wolverhampton or Stafford, but I'm familiar with those stations, especially Wolverhampton station, and I had a feeling this might happen, and I just thought to myself, well, if I'm going to be stranded, where? Don't want to be stranded here in a place that's indoors, reasonably warm, or on Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton has like about 11 platforms, no concourse. It's like Chester, it's all out in the open, there's no indoor bit at all. So I'm just going to have to hang around here a bit, I think. Wait for the next lead, wait for some more information. There it is, bus, but it is calling these various places bus, but I went to a place where it's saying bus. It says buses that way. You go out there, there's no buses. I'll show you. It says buses, see, go that way for buses. So I'm going that direction. Alright. Maybe this is part of being in Birmingham, I don't know. But I come out here, right? No buses, no signposts. Where do I go? Where do I go now? Oh, there's a. I'll just keep going straight ahead then. All right, I'll keep going straight ahead. Anyway, I'm back to where the taxis were. So they did say that one of their colleagues would be out here. But I can't see anyone. Anyway, I've got like half an hour to wait. Hopefully I'll find the bus stop before then. Alright, I'm at the right place. They said outside TK Maxx, which is here. Always use corporate logos as your directions. It's always the way. And here we do have some coaches. This is apparently the right place. I don't know where the queue is or which queue it is. I don't know anything about it. I've got to wait for one that says Southampton Central, that's all. If it gets full up, I don't know what we'll do. Wait for the next one, that could be tomorrow morning. I don't know.
Does it pull up to that?
That just says not in service. That's Andrews. And this, I don't believe it, it's a Janet coach. Well, I'm not going to Porton Down. So I'm not getting on a Janet coach no matter what. I'll end up in some kind of evil experiment if I get on a Janet coach. Right, it's not a Janet coach. Sorry, Atlantic Travel, it's not a Janet coach. Alright. Oh guys, there's a queue here, but all these people are queuing for different buses. So I don't know where I'm supposed to be in this queue, or whether I'll get trapped at the back of the queue when the right coach comes and everyone else in front of me. So I'll just have to keep a very close eye on the names of the coaches arriving, and I might have to push to the front. The crowd has thinned considerably. Everyone seems to be like to Bristol, and there's Tamworth, Derby, Cheltenham. These people seem to know what they're doing. I was a bit worried I might have to wait here all night for the bus replacement service in the morning, but it does. Apparently there is one coming. It's not even late yet, so. So yeah, they're going somewhere else. Choo choo, I'm a train. They got a sense of humour. I'm glad about that. After waiting for about an hour, the staff have decided the coach is actually not coming, so the replacement bus service is actually not coming. So we've got to go back to the customer service desk, and they're going to try and sort us out. They said that they might even provide a taxi for us to get home. I mean, obviously I'm going to be very, very late, but honestly, if I get home at all this evening, I'll be grateful. So
So back to the station concourse, guys.
It's, guys, we're at customer service. We've been told to stand here. There's another person going to Oxford with me. He's basically herding people. If you're going to one place there, you go there. You go one place there, you go there. We've been told to stand here. There's me and another lady going to Southampton. So yeah. So I think they're going to get us a taxi. Hi guys, I'm in a taxi now. It's like a big taxi with 5 other people. There's 3 of us going to Leamington Spa, 3 of us going to Oxford. It's been the journey from hell, but it seems to be coming to we're on the last leg now. Yeah, I think I left Chester early deliberately to avoid this sort of thing, and it's been far worse than I thought it would be. But I mean, at least I'm not camping out in Birmingham New Street Station tonight, which is something I'm sort of preparing myself for. They've been very good actually, the Network Rail. I think they've done the best they could. When the replacement bus didn't turn up, which they don't have any control really, they immediately sent us out and organised taxis for us. There was this sort of quite elderly Filipino lady who was with us. I don't know what happened to her. It's her first time in the country. She can hardly speak English. She didn't even know where Birmingham was. Let's hope she'll be all right. They're quite good looking after people, I think. So generally, I'm impressed. But of course, generally speaking, it's our rail networks has a lot to be desired, and as I said earlier. But anyway, guys, I'll let you know when I get back. You see, we just passed Pear Tree Welcome Services, where I started this adventure. So we're nearly back now. Well, guys, I'm home. I made it. I got out of the taxi when we got to the station. I didn't really have time to do much more else. I was just basically I was with this young woman in the taxi to the station, and she and I shared a cab. She lives in Greater Leeds, and I just said, how much would a cab be? We went up to the taxi driver. He said £16, and I gave her a tenner. I told her I'd go halves for the entire journey with her, but I just gave her £10 and I said get in. And so they dropped me off just where I live, and then she carried on to Blackburn Leys or to Greater Leeds. And I just came home, and I'm like, they dropped me off at the end of the road. It's like a 2-minute walk to my home, and I'm literally 5 hours late. But I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it. I knew it was going to be difficult. As soon as I realised there was going to be some storm, and I knew I'd have to get the train on at least one of the journeys. I thought I was worried I might have to get the train actually to Chester, which would have been difficult because of the rain and stuff like that. But I ended up having to just get one. I knew I'd have to get the train back. And I knew there'd be delays. I knew there'd be some delays, but I didn't think it would be bloody as long as it has been. I didn't think there'd be cancellations of almost everything. Anyway, I'm back now. The question is, was it worth it? Would I have done it if I'd known the journey was going to be like that? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, I would. Yeah, it's been an extraordinary couple of days, and I've had very interesting conversations. I've explored some very interesting evidence, and this is the best piece of field research I've done since Penturk. And I want to say a big thank you to Lisa and her family. They've been excellent hosts. They've been wonderful. It's been great people to talk to and to get to know. And I think they've discovered something very interesting indeed, and it certainly requires further study. Well, now it's time but next video will be, I don't know, because there's the Basis Project conference next weekend. I'll try and squeeze one in between now and then, but I've got a lot of other things to do as well. It might be a week or more before my next video. So be patient. Anyway, thank you all for watching Hapanwo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.